get on to what we're all here for, the Fancy Premier League season, FPL 18-19. We're all incredibly excited. So we're going to start you off with something a little bit special here because you know us, we like to do things a little bit differently and we like to push the boundaries and try something new. So hopefully we'll be passing you out now to the FPL family and we'll be back soon to chat all things FPL. So make sure that you check those questions in the chat so that we can get straight back onto them as soon as we come back.
Okay, hi everybody, and thank you to the FPL WildCats for giving us 5 minutes on their YouTube channel. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and we form the FPL family. So if you've not checked us out on Twitter already, we're at FPL Family on Twitter. We're also, if you search for FPL Family on YouTube, you'll also find our channel. And this is season 2 for us now, isn't it? Season 2. So we did reasonably well in season 1. You actually did very well in your first season of FPL Family last year. I didn't do quite so well, so the stakes are pretty high this year. They're pretty high. So if you haven't checked us out already, guys, please go and do that on YouTube or on Twitter, or indeed at FPL Family on Instagram as well. So we thought in our 5 minutes that we would talk about 6 players. We've got 3 players each that should be on your radars for the new FPL season. Now, these are not the players that you would expect. These are not the Aubameyangs and the Agueros and the Salahs, because they're on everybody's radar, right? So we've come up with what we think are 3, we've got 3 each, jammy picks. And the reason we call them jammy picks, for you guys that do tune into our YouTube videos, you'll know that every week you, Sam, have a jammy pick, and it's a really random choice of player. There's some logic behind it sometimes. But most of the time, it's a bit of a pick out of nowhere, right? So we've had a look at the game, we've had a look at some of the prices, and we've got 3 players each that we think you guys should be looking at for the new FPL season. So over to you, Sam. Who's your first on your list?
So his first one for me is Sean Morrison at Cardiff. He's a 5 million, listed as a defender in the game. Actually, a lot of the time plays midfield or attacking anyway out of the defence.
I think he played a bit of midfield last year, actually.
Yeah, he did. Last season made 43 appearances for Cardiff, all competitions, 17 goals, 5 assists in that time.
17 goals?
Yeah. Across all competitions, obviously, not just in the Championship. Really, really good in the air. He is 6'4", so you would expect that he would be.
Every corner is hitting this guy.
Yeah,
every
absolutely. He's also rarely booked, so in terms of the bonus point system, that would be quite nice for a defensive player.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. So first on my list is probably, I really like that because that's pretty random. I haven't seen many drafts with Morrison in there. Mine is a bit less random, so I've gone for Aaron Ramsey, and I've seen Ramsey in quite a lot of drafts, but I genuinely think he could be a steal. I think he's 7.5 in the game. And if you're thinking about an Arsenal midfielder, you're probably thinking between him and Mkhitaryan. I think Mkhitaryan's 7, Ramsey 7.5. Obviously, Arsenal have got Unai Emery in this year, so there's going to be quite a change of philosophy. I don't think the Arsenal fans would mind me saying there's probably a bit of a rebuilding job there for Emery to do. But they haven't got the Champions League football this year, so they haven't got too much to worry about in Europe. Ramsey's not had a World Cup, so he's going to be going through a full pre-season. I wrote the stats down: 7 goals, 8 assists, 130 points in 17-18, so last season. And genuinely, he is a pretty consistent performer throughout FPL. Now, we know that he's injury prone. So you have to factor that in. But I think with the signing that Arsenal have made this season, the last few weeks actually, with Torreira, I think is how you say his name, coming in, that is Arsenal saying, that is Emery saying, we need to shore up that centre of midfield, protect that back 4. And I think Ramsey will be given licence to move forward in a much more freer way. So like I say, nice, no World Cup, nice fixtures from game week 3 as well. Keep an eye on those fixtures. The first 2 are tricky, City and then Chelsea. But after that, the fixtures look really, really good for Arsenal. So keep your eyes on Aaron Ramsey.
Okay, second one from me is Tom Cairney at Fulham. Again, 5 million. I seem to have gone for cheapies actually this time around.
This is cheap. Cheap value is what we're looking for.
Cheap and valuable. He's a midfielder. Often plays in the centre or the right-hand side of the pitch. Not so prolific as Morrison was over the course of last season, but 37 appearances, 6 goals, 5 assists. So, still going to be up there, hopefully, scoring a few goals. Again, like Morrison, really good header of the ball. He's apparently not very good at tracking back. Now, I've not watched him live.
That's fine for FPL,
who cares?
right?
He's
That's
an
fine.
FPL player. I don't care if he doesn't get back. That's fine.
It's actually an interesting pick because a lot of people, if they're looking at the midfield, the Fulham midfield, I think, will be looking at Sessegnon.
Yes.
The boy wonder at Fulham, who's I think 6.5. So if you're looking for a bit of a cheaper alternative, he's your man, I think.
And I think also with Sessegnon, occasionally plays in the defence for them, whereas Kearney doesn't. He is a midfielder. So there is that element of if Sessegnon's a bit of a risk for actually becoming a defender, maybe Kearney's the way to go.
Yeah, potentially. Okay, I like the sound of that. Right, so you've got some really good picks. Again, I've gone for a far less random one actually, and this is why perhaps you beat me last season because you seem to find this value, which is great. But I've gone for Seamus Coleman at the back for Everton. Now I know what you're all thinking. It's not a jammy pick. Come on, Coleman's like FPL royalty, which he is a little bit to a degree. But I genuinely see an upturn in fortune for Everton this season, certainly from an attacking perspective. So Marco Silva's coming in. We know what sort of philosophy Marco Silva has got, and that is attack. We saw that at Watford, right? And they did concede a lot of goals at Watford. But if you're looking at attacking assets in that Everton team, Seamus Coleman's got to be worthy of a look. Now, having just said what I've just said, our clean sheet's going to be a bit of a premium at Everton, potentially, so you've got to factor that in. But genuinely, I think he's a bit underpriced in the game. He's 5.5. He gets forward to his heart's content normally, Seamus Coleman. I think he's undervalued because of the injury last year. He obviously had a really bad injury, didn't he? Sort of just over a year ago. So he'll be coming back into the team. He likes to get forward. And Everton, I think they played a pre-season game that I saw on Twitter or maybe YouTube a couple of days ago, and they played some Norwegian 7th tier outfit and won 22-0. 22-0. So
how does that happen?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to say that was all because of Silva's new attacking intent, but I think genuinely the team they played were pretty awful. Pretty awful. So Seamus Coleman, I think he's a bit undervalued. Have a look at him at 5.5.
Okay, last one from me. He's an old favourite, and for those of you that watch our channel regularly, you'll know that he's an old favourite of mine. It's Izquierdo at Brighton.
Well pronounced, by the way.
Well
pronounced, very good.
Our followers will be proud of me, won't they? So Izquierdo was an ever-present in my team at the end of last season. He was just a bit of a jammy pick, really. At the back end of last season, he wasn't actually a starter for Brighton at the beginning of last season, but towards the end of the season, from game week 20 onwards, he played pretty much every game. I think he missed 2 or 3 and came on as a sub in those games.
Sure.
But actually, this season he looks like the value player to have for me at Brighton. So he is a whole million cheaper than Gross. If you look at points scored from game week 20 last season onwards, Izquierdo was only 3 points behind Gross in terms of points that they scored. I
still think Gross is the main man, but if you want to save a bit of money, he's a good shout, I think.
For $1 million off, actually, he's quite good value. He got 3 goals and 5 assists in that last part of the season. I think it was 6 goals in the course of the season overall. So actually, a good asset and slightly cheaper than the other players you could have.
And actually looked pretty good in the World Cup actually for Colombia. I was fairly impressed. He's direct. He's tricky. I like that. Okay. Yeah. So my last pick is Jota. I think I've said that right. Is it Jota or Jota? I don't know. Let's go with Jota. We'll always get it wrong. He's the £6.5 million man in Wolves' midfield. Now, I am expecting big things from Wolves this year. Big things. And we often look at the clubs that have come up from last year and we say, well, they are prime candidates for relegation, prime candidates. But as we saw last season, that's not always the case, right? So the 3 that came up last year all stayed up. And I fully expect Wolves to stay up. I, in fact, expect them to be top half. I think they will be very, very good in the Premier League. So I actually looked at some of the odds on some of the betting sites. They're actually 8th favourites to win the Premier League.
Are they?
To win the Premier League. Now, there's 250 to 1 or something because, outside of City, Liverpool and the usual candidates, the odds get pretty long. But for them to be, 8th favourites up there with some pretty big names, that's quite serious,
they do have Premier League pedigree.
They do, they do. They've got a little bit of history there, but Jota in particular is a guy that I enjoyed watching in the Championship last year. They've got the guy Ruben Neves, who is a full £1.5 million cheaper in FPL, coming in at $5 million. Now he is their best player. Neves, in my opinion, is their best player. But from an FPL perspective, he's deeper. He plays deeper and he controls that. He's very much a kind of in that sort of Kante position. A bit more of a passer of the ball than Kante, but maybe a bit more of a passer than a sort of tackler general. But he is their best player for sure, Neves. So if he can stay fit, that gels the rest of the team. It means that they have the fluidity to go forward in the way that they want to go forward. I think they're a footballing team. Jota plays normally left wing, but can play up front as well. We're also not sure, you and I aren't sure, but I've not seen any evidence really on the internet anywhere that tells me for certain who is on penalties for Wolves. So we need to keep an eye on that for pre-season. If it's Jota, I think 6.5 is really, really good. And yeah, I mean, he's out of position. He's a midfielder, 6.5 if he's playing up front and he's on pens.
Bargain.
I think he's a bargain. So that's it, guys. That's it. Thank you again to the FPL Wildcats for inviting us on. Check us out at FPL Family on Twitter and on Instagram. I run the Twitter, you run the Instagram.
I do.
And also check out our YouTube channel. Search for FPL Family in the search bar on YouTube and you will find us very, very easily. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what we do. And I will see you on Twitter. You will see the guys on Instagram. And we look forward to you guys joining in with our live streams. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we are back with the Wildcats. Thank you so much, FPL Family, for giving us that video. Much appreciated, and hopefully we'll have a lot more people on the channel featuring, and even some guests potentially. But thank you so much, FPL Family, for being the first feature on the FPL Wildcats channel. It's much appreciated.